take your notebook out, let's start the jam. Video notes, here we go. Take your notebook out, let's start the show. Video notes. Oh yeah, video notes. Video notes. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Video Notes for Mr. Flugum's General Chemistry class. That's right, folks, this is for Gen Chem. And we're talking about unit conversions today. Just so you know, these notes will go on page number 6 in your science notebook. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. Alright, so since we're talking about unit conversions, we need to talk about measurements and units, of course. So we'll talk about mass first. Mass, of course, you will find using a digital scale generally in this class. And what mass is about is this. It's the amount of matter in an object, right? So this isn't related to size or anything like that. It's the amount of matter, okay? And it is measured in grams. Those are the units for mass. Now length, right? Length is a little bit more obvious. That's something that we all are pretty familiar with. We've measured length of things for a long time. Okay? Length, of course, is a distance between 2 points, right? So there's lots of different units for that. But the main one is meters, right? When we have a meter stick. Okay, that's our base unit. And then we can break that down into smaller units like centimeters and millimeters, right? Last one we have on here is volume. And volume is this, you guys. It's the space an object takes up. Okay, that's volume, right? And volume, folks, can be measured in a couple of different ways. We can use liters, right? Or we can use milliliters, right? Or we could use something called centimeters cubed. Now here's kind of a cool thing, and we'll learn about this when we talk about density, right? 1 milliliter is actually equal to 1 centimeter cubed. So either of those can measure volume, or the amount of space something takes up. So when I say unit conversions, what is that? Well, that's things like this, right? If we want to know how many inches are in 3.2 yards, or if we want to go metric, which we mostly will in this class, right? How many centimeters are in 4.8 meters? So it means changing the units of measure. Okay? And we can do that in all sorts of ways. Okay? And you need to be able to do those for me accurately and frequently and easily. Okay, Mr. Flugum, you might say, how do I do that? Now for some of you this might be very simple, but I'm going to show you a method that I want you to use. Please use it. Alright, even though these are very simple to start out with, it gets harder and harder as we go. And you're going to be expected to do some very complex calculations using this method that I'm about to show you. Now, one thing that you need to know whenever you're doing a conversion is what's called the conversion factor. So conversion factor. That is, what are the units kind of equal to? How do they equate to each other? So our conversion factor for this first one here is this, right? 1 yard is equal to 36 inches, right? So there's our conversion factor. So now what we do is we start with something, okay? So we're going to start with what we're given. So start with what you're given. And that is this, right? 3.2 yards. And then we're going to use our conversion factor. Okay, my conversion factor is this: 1 yard equals 36 inches. So I'm going to turn that into a ratio. Now here's the deal. We're starting with yards, so yards goes on the bottom. 1 yard on the bottom, okay, and 36 inches goes on top. What this does is it cancels out yards and gives me inches like I want, right? So I just multiply that out, and I get 115. Whoops, excuse me there, 115.2 inches. Okay, and there's our conversion. Now let's do another one. Let's use the metric system, all right? 4.8 meters equals how many centimeters? Well, what's our conversion factor? Our conversion factor is this, right? 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Okay, so let's set it up. Start with what we're given, 4.8 meters, right? Times our conversion factor in a ratio. Meters on the bottom, because I start with meters. Centimeters on the top, because that's what I want to end up with. And I do a little math, and I get 480 centimeters. Okay, that's how we do it. Now you might be looking at this chart going, what are you doing, Mr. Flugum? Are you insane? Do I need to write this whole thing down? The answer to that is no, you don't. But you need to focus on some particularly important things. Okay? For example, you need to know this, that kilo means 1,000, and its order of magnitude is 10 to the third, right? Okay? You need to know that deci, right? 0.1 centa, milli, and believe it or not, you also need to know micro and nano for me. So those 6 things there, that's what you need to write down, you guys. Okay, what does it mean? What's its order of magnitude? Okay, and what is its kind of abbreviation? One that's kind of interesting, because most of them make sense, right? One that's kind of interesting is this guy right here, the abbreviation for micro, which is a mu symbol. Alright, so here's a little bit of practice for you. I'd like you to try these, okay? And I'll kind of start you off a little bit. And when you do these, I want you to use the method that I showed you. It's going to be very helpful if you can use and understand that method. Okay, so to give you something to start off with, the grams to milligrams, right? Well, here's going to be our conversion factor, right? We're going to have 1 gram. And if you look at your thing, milli is 1,000, right? 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, right? So there's our conversion factor. So remember, start with what you're given, okay? Multiply it times the conversion factor. And remember, the units that you start with go on the bottom of that conversion factor. Well, thanks for tuning in, you guys. I would like you to take a little bit of time at home and do these 5 practice problems, okay? And come to me with questions if you have them when this is due. So we'll be going over this Monday and Tuesday in our chemistry classes. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in class on Monday and Tuesday. Bye-bye.